What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Table Spots special of the LFG reactions. My name is Metal Mike, and I'm joined here, as always, with the man with the best beard in the business and the man that hosts the Boom every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite here on Rivet City Radio's Twitch, Off the Top Media's YouTube channel. My co-host, as always, Mr. Cam G. Cam, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Back here once again, back in the saddle. Gearing up for some more LFG. So I'm here for it, man.
Yeah, it's been a while since we recorded an episode. We kind of just took some time to recharge our batteries. We were talking about this off air that, we've been running pretty strong for about 9 months straight. And there was times where we took like a day off or something like that, but we didn't take an excessive amount of time. It was just like, hey, we're going to take off tonight, but we'll be back next week. It's like now we took about 2 weeks. We recharged our batteries. We're a little more at ease with things now and ready to get back at it. So that is what we are going to do. Before we get into it, Cam, I want to let everybody know to head over to Rivet City Radio and Off the Top Media's Twitch and YouTube channels. Hit that follow button, hit the subscribe button, turn your notification on, check out all the great content going on throughout the networks throughout the week. Me and Cam are live every Monday night for the Monday Night Raw watch along starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the Rivet City Radio Twitch channel. And then right after that is the Table Spot. We talk about the show after the show on Rivet City Radio's Twitch and Off the Top Media's YouTube channel. So please come check us out every Monday night for Monday Night Raw starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Wednesday nights, we are on the Boom. It is hosted by Mr. Cam G himself. Cam is the host. I'm the co-host and the producer, and Phil is with us as well. We are live right after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. We go live on Rivet City Radio's Twitch, Off the Top Media's YouTube channel for the Boom. So Cam, we are here to talk about Legends and Future Greats, LFG episode 5 and 6. Again, we left off with talking about episode 4, obviously last episode. So we're here talking episode 5, which was titled Speak Your Truth. Now Speak Your Truth. It's obvious they were talking about promos. And Shawn Michaels comes out at the beginning of the episode and says that is what is the focus for the day, is talking about promos. And we end up having a very special guest on this episode, and that is one CM Punk. Cam, first off, how excited were you to see CM Punk on an episode of Legends and Future Greats?
Like I said, being a CM Punk guy, it was definitely very exciting. We've seen a couple of big stars. But like I said, this is easily one of my favorite for sure. Huge CM Punk guy, and I think him working with some of the futures is good because, like I said, he's good at what he does. He gets a reaction when people love him, hate him, whatnot have you. He gets a reaction. So
I was really excited that CM Punk was on this episode. I was excited when they gave us the preview after episode 4 that CM Punk was going to be a special guest for this episode. I was like, oh man, this is going to be such a good episode. I was excited for it. And I went into this episode with like the biggest open mind of remembering that, yeah, CM Punk's the guest. We know how he is in promos. We know how Bully Ray can be. We know how The Undertaker can be, Mickey James, Booker T. But we don't know how these future greats can be. And we know that some of them, again, have been there for 3 years. Some of them have been there for 3 months. Some of them have been there for a couple days. Now, at this point, they've been there for a while. The ones that were at the start there for like 3 days, they've been there for a while. Okay, they've been there for a couple weeks. So they've had some time to work on their in-ring abilities and their microphone work. So right away, CM Punk, we see the nice preview, the flashback video of CM Punk, the infamous pipe bomb from June 27th back in, I believe that was 2011 on Monday Night Raw. And a little bit of a backstory. I came across a video on social media of the backstory of the pipe bomb. And CM Punk was told, you got some grievances, take a microphone, go out on the stage and air your grievances. But the thing is things got so real towards the McMahon family that they cut his mic. So they tell him, for one, to go out and cut this promo, air your grievances, but then they cut his mic because they didn't like what he was saying. So it was almost like, okay, we're going to give you freedom, but watch where you go with it. So realistically, it's your grievances. They don't mean shit. They don't. But anyways, we get that. We get a bunch of other promos that CM Punk has cut throughout his career. They even show the video of him making his return at Survivor Series. And then we get into CM Punk asking the future greats who wants to come up and cut the first promo. And it was a mad scramble of superstar of the future greats that wanted to get up there and cut the promo. But Jasper was the first one to go up there. He pretty much cut off Xena. Bully was like, Xena, get up there. Go, go, go. And Jasper was like, nope, me. And Xena was like, that's not fair. And the one line that Jasper said that hit me right away, there's no fair in this business. So your thoughts, number one, Cam, on Jasper's promo that he cut. What are your thoughts on that promo that he cut?
I think probably his best work. I think on the mic thus far. Again, I really don't have anything else to compare it to. I mean, compared to what he's done thus far in this competition on LFG. But yeah, no, definitely, definitely, I think he's starting to come into his own. He's really starting to be molded under the coaching of Booker T, I think. So it was very good. And like I said, even what you had said, like, there's no fair in this business. And I mean, that's kind of true. I mean, we have seen so many people be done wrong or screwed over by this business. So yeah, he definitely has a point. So that's some knowledge for someone so early on in his career in the business. But overall, I thought this was a pretty solid promo.
So when he cut this promo, my notes sit here and say this was one hell of a promo. It felt so real. Why? Because his promo was directed towards CM Punk. He said to CM Punk, when I was a kid, I was excited to go into school and talk to my friends about my guy, which was you. And then one day you decide 10 years ago to pick up and leave. And then you try and bring this place down. Like, he really cut in CM Punk. And it just felt so real. I feel like right now, Jasper is a step ahead of the game and definitely a step ahead of everybody else when it comes to promos. Because some of these other promos, and we'll get into them in a moment, but some of these other promos, there was good ones, but there were some that were just not so good. But then there was one that was a surprise, and we'll get into that in a second. But back on Jasper, his promo just felt so real. It felt from the heart. And that's even to us as fans, that's what we look for in a promo as fans. We look for something that's going to come from the heart. We just recently, as the date is today, it is April 29th, 2025, as we're recording this. Monday Night Raw was on April 28th, which is last night. But, again, we're recording this on the 29th. And Pat McAfee cut a promo on Gunther and about what happened between him and Gunther on the Raw after WrestleMania. Okay? And I sat here and said that Pat McAfee's promo felt so real and from the heart, everything he was saying. I got that same feeling from Jasper with this promo. And it was literally the best promo out of all of them. Even with the surprise promo we got, the best promo out of all of them because of how he made that promo feel. We also got a promo from Tatiana. Okay. Her promo, it was okay. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. The other thing is I noticed with Tatiana, even at the beginning of this episode, is she lets emotions take over her way too much. The crying all the time, the being upset, emotions always flowing. And I get that. You got to have emotions in this business. But hers, I feel like, and I want to get your thoughts on and how you feel about this, but I think as of right now, getting through episode 5, her emotions are taking her in the wrong direction. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Her and I think a few others is the same way. For the women that I think allow their emotions to get to them, and I think that's hindering them. I think they get so caught up in their own heads that they can't get out of their own way at the end of the day. So it definitely didn't deliver the way it was supposed to, and I definitely think that's what's hurting her ultimately in this competition. So I definitely agree with you on that one. The promo definitely wasn't all that great. Well, first of all, it had a tough task, even trying to top what Jasper had did before that. But it ultimately, like I said, it just didn't deliver the way I think she had initially had envisioned it. So yeah, no, she definitely lets her emotions get the best of her, I think.
Yeah, and talking about emotions, like Layla came up and her promo was all towards her promo basically felt like she was attacking what she went through in high school when she was younger. You know, the bullying, not being part of groups in school and always being outcasted and everything. But Xena, under her voice, went and said, "I think she's talking about me," because she was looking directly at her, and Xena felt like Layla was talking about her. So, but Tatiana's her promo, it was okay. Layla's promo, it was good, but it wasn't the best. Cutler, his promo had emotion, very good emotion. But the one thing that threw me off was the end of the promo where he goes, "If there's anybody that gets in my way, I'm going to rip your face off." A physical task that cannot realistically be done with your bare hands unless you have like super strength hands. I'm going to rip your face off. Such a generic line of a promo, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was kind of bizarre. I would say is the word I would use. I see what he was going for there, and I guess you have to have some sort of aggression in these promos.
Yeah.
But he could have used a different line because that just sounded kind of weird to me. So yeah,
If I was him, I would have probably went with, for anybody who gets in my way, be prepared to get knocked down because I'm going to run right through you.
yeah, I'm gonna take you out. Like
Yes.
something simple like that. He
Ripping.
went too descriptive with it.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to rip your face off. Like, dude, you can't physically do that unless you have superhuman strength, or if you have the strength of one WWE Hall of Famer, Mark Henry. Because Mark
Yeah.
Henry, let's just face it, Mark Henry can probably rip somebody's face off.
Probably. I
You
wouldn't
know,
doubt it.
but I mean, he is the world's strongest man.
Yes.
Realistically, he is the world's strongest man. But that line right there, just really, his promo, it had me. But once that line came out of his mouth, I was like, "Oh, dude, what did you do? Why?" But the thing is, Cam, is we're just fans. We're just giving our perspective and our thoughts and our, opinion on what's going on in this show and what we feel like we're seeing. So we could be sitting here saying something that could not be true. But this is our opinion, and our opinion is he had us until that one line, and that was that. We did get a surprise promo though. One BJ decided to walk in during this promo session, and Bully was not happy about this.
No.
Bully hasn't been happy with this kid since episode 2. Okay, and now we are on episode 5. But BJ decided to walk in, and he picked up a microphone, and I think he was speaking a lot of truth. He sat there and said, ever since my injury was put out there, none of you reached out to see how I was doing. None of you asked me how things were going, especially you, Team Bully. None of you guys reached out to me, and I get it. Cutler came in and he replaced me. He needed to because I'm out. But not even a text message, not a phone call, not a letter, not even in passing have you asked me how I was doing. And then he turned his attention to the legends. And he specifically called Bully a douchebag. But at the same time, he understands why Bully did not shake his hand at the beginning of this competition. So he went out and said, I am not going to shake any of the future greats' hands. I'm not going to shake any of these legends' hands. I am specifically going into business for myself. The one thing you do not do is go into business for yourself. Even us as fans know that rule. Do not go into business for yourself. And BJ pretty much put it out there that he is going into business for himself. He then drops the microphone, walks out, And Bully yet again says, this kid is going to hurt himself, but I will say this, he cut one hell of a promo. I'm pissed at him, but man, did he cut one hell of a promo. What are your thoughts on BJ's promo?
This to me was my favorite promo, even over Jasper Troy's. Jasper Troy's was great, but like for me, I think the mistake was it being too direct at CM Punk, because we still need to get a feel for who you are.
Yes.
What are you going to do in your career path? Don't make it so much about CM Punk, because you may or may not ever even see CM Punk in a ring. Who even knows? By the time you get to the main roster, who knows if CM Punk is even going to still be around? I don't know.
It's true.
It was a little too direct, I think. That's where I think it kind of lost me. But with this particular promo, everything he said was just real. And he was just speaking to them. Taker had said it. The thing that CM Punk does so great is that when he cuts a promo, it doesn't sound like he's cutting a promo. When CM Punk cuts promos, he sounds like he's just having a conversation with the fans. Yep. And that's exactly what BJ did. It sounded like he was having a conversation with LFG and CM Punk and the legends. So I loved that, and I love the fact that yeah, you don't go into business for yourself, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to in this competition, because yeah, we might be on teams now, but eventually they're going to start doing eliminations. And at the end of the day, I want to be the last person standing. I want to win this competition. I want to get that NXT contract. So in this competition, it makes more sense to go into business for yourself. And for once, he actually admitted to himself he's not a team player. He's just in it for himself, because he's been lying to himself this entire time, saying, "Oh, I'm trying to get points for Team Bubba." You don't really care about Team Bubba. You care about yourself. You care about being the one to win this competition. So The honesty comes out, the truth comes out. And he said it before he even cut the promo. The truth is the most powerful thing. So I loved it.
I did like the fact that he was being completely honest. He admitted that he learned a lesson from Bully about the handshaking thing, which is good. And yeah, he was being real. But I still, in my opinion, I still like Jasper Troy's just a little bit. And I understand, yeah, it was directed towards CM Punk, and it's true. We may not have CM Punk on the main roster by the time Jasper gets there. But Jasper went to a place to where we even see superstars go to today. Like, as of recent, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins always points out, you left. And then you tried to tear this place down. It's almost like Jasper is on team Seth. It's almost like he's that hidden person who's pretty much saying, like, be prepared, because I'm gonna be with somebody. Like, it's almost like Jasper's with Seth Rollins in a sense, going after saying the same things Seth has been saying. I'm not sitting here saying Jasper's gonna be with Seth Rollins, but it felt
never
like
know.
that. Yeah, you never know, but it felt like that at that moment. So Jasper and BJ definitely had the one-ups when it came to these promos. Great promos by both. They both went in very good direction. But we did have a little bit of an issue. Nobody from Team Mickey decided to step up, and Jasper kept calling out Chris Island, yelling at Chris, saying, "Hey, get up there. Go talk. Go say something." And Chris was like, "Why me? Like, why are you coming at me? Like, I'm not feeling it right now. I'm not going to go and grab a microphone." And what he said to Mickey was, "I'm not going to go up there and trauma dump when I don't feel like it's real. Like, everybody's up there trauma dumping right now. I'm not going to go do that." And that's why I didn't step up. I had nothing to say. But you had enough to sit there and say stuff while Jasper's up there cutting promos. But we did have one more promo, and that was from Tyra May Steele. Cam, I want to get your your opinion on Tyra May Steele's promo, because I have an opinion on this one, and yeah, it's not very good.
She's another one that I think gets very emotional. And I would definitely like to see a promo from her, or when she's speaking without that, because I think there is definitely something there. I would say too, the thing that's kind of an annoyance for me is the whole, gold medal thing. We get it. But to consistently hear that, and sometimes multiple times an episode, is like,
Yes.
okay, this is kind of like we get it already. You're beating a dead horse. We get that you're an Olympic gold medalist. You don't have to keep saying that. You know what I mean? Like I would really love if they would get away from that. Like what else is there? We see that on the surface. You come out with it around your neck. Okay, cool. Now present us. Now show us something else. Give us
Yeah.
something. Surprise us even. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see more for. So I think there's something we see what's on the surface, but I think there's something even better underneath, and that's what I would love to see brought out of her, I guess. Overall, the promo I think was decent. It was real, Bubba kind of chiming in or whatever. I think really brought out the emotion in her or whatnot have you. It pushed her to that next gear in this promo. But again, like I said, she's somebody who, again, this is not the only time that I've seen her cut promos and her get emotional. So hopefully that doesn't just become her thing every time she's cutting a promo. She has to learn how to channel that in a different way and
Yeah.
really keep her composure while cutting promos.
I agree with you. The whole, I'm a gold medalist. I was in the Olympics. It's beating a dead horse. You're not Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was a character before coming into WWE.
Yes.
The whole I won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. He was a cyborg, man. He was, a mutant. He was a robot, whatever you want to call him. Like Kurt Angle was a character before even coming into WWE. So Kurt Angle had all the tools coming in. He just needed to learn how to take a loss on purpose. That was it. And he learned that very quickly. Very, very quickly, to the point he had a lot of success even in his first year. I believe he was a world champion in his first year.
Yeah.
Same with Brock Lesnar. Brock was a beast before he even became the beast.
Yeah.
So we get it. You were in the Olympics. You won gold medals. That's great. But give us something. Give us a different character. Give us who you are. We get that you were in the Olympics. That's not who you are. That's what you were. An Olympic gold medalist. Who are you now? What are you going to give us when you hit NXT TV, SmackDown, Raw, PLEs, house shows? Who are you? Because right now, you're just Tyra May Steele, the Olympic gold medalist. That's it. And we're sick of hearing it. And you're not even on weekly television yet. Yeah, I mean, you are, but you're not. But her promo, the hyping up stuff, it didn't impress me. That's what she was doing. She was hyping up, her yelling for no reason at all. She was yelling for no reason at all. She didn't have to yell. If she would have toned it down and just went, I am Tyra May Steele. Yeah, I was in the Olympics. Yeah, I won gold medals. But that doesn't fully define me. You're going to learn who I am these next couple weeks. And I'm not just an Olympic gold medalist, somebody that competed. I'm somebody completely different. And you're going to wait to find out who I am.
Perfect.
Give us, yeah, you add in the whole Olympic gold medals and you were in the Olympics. You just said that's who you were. But now you're giving us the mystery of finding out who you are going to be. And we have to wait for it.
Another person I feel like they could have had on this show as a guest if it wasn't CM Punk.
Yes.
Could have been Jake the Snake.
Agreed.
Because Jake the Snake mastered something, because that was in an era he was smack dab in an era where
everybody was yelling.
Yeah, everyone's yelling, and it was the the jacked up muscle era or whatever. And
yep.
Everybody's like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. Jake was the only one that was unique with it because he never really yelled or got like super angry, and that's what made him stand out. And that's what I would love to see more people, especially in this era, do. Because just because you're yelling, it's like, nah, your point's not. It's impactful, I guess, if you're in the room. But for me, it's like I'm suffering from like secondhand embarrassment because I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, it could either be really really good or really really bad because you can be yelling and not really saying a whole lot.
Yeah.
But if you're just calm, cool, collected, just stone no pun intended, stone cold with it's that much more impactful.
I mean, little sidebar about Jake. The reason why he talks so softly was because he ruined his throat.
Yeah.
He injured his throat, and that's why he talks so softly. Because earlier in his career, he had a clear talking voice like we have now, but something happened along the way where his voice something happened, and then it got a little grungy. But he started talking like this, So and it worked. It worked. Tyra, if she would channel that, would be awesome. Yeah, I was an Olympic gold medalist. Yeah, I competed, but that's who I was. Now you're going to find out who I really am. Stay tuned. Something simple. And you can hook us. The hype, the yelling, it's unnecessary. Yeah, could it be necessary in some cases? Sure. But it's got to mean something. Don't just yell telling us who you were, what we already know. You're giving us unnecessary yelling, and that's that. So, but going into episode 5, Team Booker had 3 points, Team Mickey had 2, Team Taker had 1, and Team Bully had 0. We had some matches. Jasper Troy took on Chris Island. Jasper Troy ended up winning that match. Tyra May took on Danny Sikelski. Tyra May defeated Danny. Tatiana defeated Layla, and Cutler James defeated Shiloh Hill. Tyra and Jasper end up getting the points, which means Team Booker at the end of the episode has 4 points. Mickey has 2, Taker has 2, and Bully is left with 0. Cam, do you have any thoughts on the matches that happened and your thoughts on the points going out of episode 5?
The one match I think that really stood out to me because they were focusing more so on storytelling in the ring. I felt like the one match that really stood out to me was, I believe it was Cutler James and Shiloh Hill. I love the spot that they had because the biggest story I think amongst matches was earlier in this particular show, where Shiloh Hill and Chris Island had a match, and Shiloh was legitimately hurt. He had a concussion during the course of that match. They played off of that when Cutler James had hit Shiloh, and everybody thinks that Shiloh was hurt again, and just all for that to just be a ruse, and if to be a comeback sort of thing played into the storytelling in the ring for Shiloh Hill. I love that. I thought that was amazing. I thought that match stood out the most because of that whole thing they put in that particular match. So great work from Shiloh Hill, and great stuff from Cutler James as well.
So yeah, I mean, I will admit this. I fast forwarded through the matches because I had to watch this episode before we got recording here today. So I had to kind of whiz through these. So do I have any thoughts on any of the matches? I don't. But yeah, as far as the points, what surprises me is that Team Bully does not have any points when he should have at least 1. You go back to the episode of them doing the factions, and his faction should have gotten a point.
Yeah, they got robbed.
He did. So, but that's it for episode 5. Now we go into episode 6, and as I said, going into episode 6, Team Booker has 4, Mickey has 2, Taker has 2, Bully has 0. Okay. Now this episode was called Stepping into the Spotlight. And we start this episode off by The Undertaker talking to Shiloh Hill about finding himself and honing into who he was, because he did an interview in episode 5 and he really honed into a character. And now Undertaker's basically like, we need you to grab that and bring that out. Okay. This is who you need to be, because it was amazing. It was great. But then Shawn Michaels comes on screen and he says that the focus today is getting whoever was not in the ring into the ring. Now, everybody's been in the ring in some way, shape, or form. Tag matches, mixed tag matches, and during the factions episode. But some of these future greats have not been in singles matches, like a Bailey Humphrey, And I believe Danny Sikalski also was not in a singles match. So a couple of these future greats have not been in matches yet. So that was their focus. And I'll say this, Cam, if you had to pick one of these stars, one of these future greats that was the most nervous going into their first match, who was it?
Most nervous. That's tough. I want to say. I want to say maybe Danny.
Okay.
I think she was probably the most nervous, if I had to guess.
I definitely would have to say Bailey. Bailey seemed the most nervous because her emotions were all over the place, and you can even see it on her face. She was just like, she was ready to cry. She was smiling. She was laughing. She was just all over the place. You could tell that she was definitely nervous about getting into the ring. And then sitting there and talking to The Undertaker about it is just 10 times. I mean, if I was able to sit down and have a conversation with The Undertaker, even on camera, for example, let's say we would ever get The Undertaker for an interview segment on the table spot, even though it's over camera, I'd be freaking nervous because it's The Undertaker.
Yeah.
You know, so that just adds that extra element. But we found out that Shiloh Hill has had the most matches so far. I mean, well, why not? The kid is just amazing inside and outside of the ring. I mean, him and Jasper, I would have to say, are kind of neck and neck in this competition when it comes to impressiveness. Would you say that?
I would say so.
But we found out he's had the most matches. And Tatiana, I'll say this, she seemed a little spicy in this episode. She was a little upset because she didn't get picked to have a match. Now, Cam, I don't know about you, but showing that emotion of being upset because you weren't picked for a match, do you think it would be a good thing to do, especially in a competition like this?
I mean, judging on who her coach is, probably not. But I listen to her say that, but then I see how she consistently gets, so caught up in her emotions, and she gets in her head and things of that nature. And I go, well, that's why you weren't picked. I don't think Bubba it has the trust in her that she's really going to perform or make or even participate well enough to get the team some points. So I would say that's the reason why she wasn't picked, and rightfully so. Until she can get out of her own way, she's not going to be the first choice to be put out there.
Now, I'll say this about episode 6. Episode 6 seemed like the most basic episode out of all of them because they focused on just getting in the ring. That was it. There was no, we're going to do this or do that. Like, oh, we're not going to do promos. We're not going to build factions or tag teams or do anything special. Today is just about getting into the ring. So the coaches took their teams and they found an area into the performance center and they showed their debuts. Bubba Ray showed his debut in ECW. The Undertaker showed his debut in WWE. Booker T showed his debut in WCW, and Mickie James showed her debut in WWE. So they got to sit there and watch the debuts happen. And I'll say this, I think out of anybody who showed the most interest in their coach had to be Xena. She showed so much interest into Bubba Ray's debut because of his character. And I like the one thing that Bubba said, do everything I show you, but don't do everything I show you. Okay? As far as what you see on this screen and what I'm doing, don't do that. But what you see, the action, the wrestling, do that. The aggressiveness, do that. Hone into that. Cam, if you were a competitor in this competition, okay, my first question on this and where I'm going with this is who would you want to be your coach?
Mickie James.
Okay.
Just
Why?
because I feel like Mickie James is, I think she's the most understanding. I think, if that makes any sense, where she's not so, I don't know, she's not so old school like Taker or Booker T. to where, I think it could hinder some young talent because they may want to try new ideas and things of that nature that aren't necessarily bad ideas, but they just are like so against it. She's more understanding, and she's teaching, but she's also listening to her team, and really wanting them to grow, and learn, at the same time. So for me, it would be Mickey James for sure.
I would go with Team Bubba, not because I'm a huge fan of him, but because of the honesty, the no sugarcoating of explanations. He gives it straight, and he doesn't care whether you hurt your feelings or not. And that's what I'd want in my coach. If I do something wrong, point it out so I can fix it. Be honest with me on whether I did good or not. I feel like, and I know The Undertaker wouldn't hold back on that, but I feel like Bully is a little more just upfront and brutal. And that's what I'd want from my coach. Be upfront and brutal. Tell me how it is so I can fix it. And if I mess up again, I'll be expecting you to come down on me and, give me hell for it. And not try to be like, it's okay, just fix it. I want you to you did it again. You fucked up. Watch yourself. Like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But the coaches were also giving the pointers on what to do, what not to do in the ring as they set up the matches. But then we get into setting up the matches, and they had Bayley taking on Danny. Bayley ended up defeating Danny. Panina took on Serena, where Panina ended up beating Serena. Drake took on Chris. He defeated Chris. And Elijah defeated Anthony in a match. And Elijah and Bayley end up getting the points for their teams, which now ends up as Team Booker has 4 points. The Undertaker's team has 4 points. Mickey James has 2 points. And Bully Ray is stuck at 0. Do you have any thoughts on any of the matches?
Like I said, just one, and like I said, that's Elijah Holyfield. I think this was his first outing that I've seen him in thus far in his competition. Like I said, he went into this for me as a mystery because I was trying to get a read on the guy because he really hasn't had a whole lot of screen time during the course of the first 6 episodes of this competition. But he shined. I mean, the dude's a superstar. I think he's got the look, he's got the physique. I think Bully Ray had at one point had even said like, I don't know if it was this episode or another episode, but he said he reminds me of like a Clubber Lang, and that's from a Rocky movie. So and I can agree with that for sure. He has that Clubber Lang-esque just aura, I guess, about him. And so he's great. I think he's honestly a star. Some of these people in this competition, I think, they're already ready. If you ask me, like they're ready to be called up now. And like I said, Elijah Holyfield is somebody who's definitely surprised me for sure.
I think at some point we'll end up getting the winners of these competitions. They'll end up getting the NXT contract. But there's no doubt in my mind that we see at least three of these stars ending up in NXT at some point. So, but that's it for episode 6. Episode 6, again, was just focused on getting into the ring. That was it. There was no special focus. It was just basically getting into the ring. So, but that's our thoughts on episode 5 and 6. So Cam, your socials are on the bottom. Make sure you're going out and checking out Cam's social medias and everything that he's doing. Is there anything that you want to let everybody know about your social medias?
Not really. I'll be uploading hopefully soon-ish to my TikTok again on Cam's Wrestling Corner about some more rants, news, things of the nature involving professional wrestling. So stay tuned for that. As always, we'll be back live with the addition of Phil Khan tomorrow on the Boom right after AEW Dynamite. Once again, fingers crossed for a good episode of AEW Dynamite so we can have something good to talk about. And then we'll be back probably next week for episodes 7 and 8 of WWE LFG. So stay tuned for that as well.
Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitch, Xbox, Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me on the socials. I post, I just post things. I don't really have anything too special. I'm also on twitch.tv/the Huddle Hub Podcast live every Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Huddle Podcast, and you can check out all the socials, YouTube, TikTok, and X at the Huddle Hub Pod. But you can check me and Cam out every Monday night for the Raw Watch Along starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on River City Radio's Twitch channel, and then the table spot right after. And then every Wednesday night on the Boom with myself, Cam, and Phil, right after AEW Dynamite as we talk about the show after the show. We'll be back for another recording. Next episodes we'll be talking about is episodes 7 and 8. Until then, everybody, be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until next time, deuces.